Meantime, the Real Clear Politics average of impeachment and removal when it comes to that question, you can see the track lines there, and now oppose is up about 1.3. In the average of polls. Let's bring in our panel. Charles Hurt, opinion editor for The Washington Times. Alex Wayne, White House editor for Bloomberg. And Jason Riley, Wall Street Journal columnist and senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Charlie, first to you. Your thoughts about Murkowski, what she said, and what it means potentially as we head into this next stage.
I think ultimately it doesn't mean a whole lot. I'm not surprised to hear her making noise. She is often, as you pointed out, because she's going to be targeted, Democrats are going to target her because she's often that sort of outlier in the Republican Party. But, you know, ultimately, you know, as we've been reminded throughout the entire House process here, this whole thing is about politics. It's far more nakedly about politics than I think the founders intended or than it should be. And Murkowski is doing her thing, whether, you know, it's to sort of figure out a way to get goodies for Alaska or whatever. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, I don't think that, I think she'll end up with the Republican caucus on this. Donald Trump won Alaska in 2016 by almost 15 points. And I would be willing to bet that he'll probably win by more points in 2020.
Alex, how much do you think horse trading for some of those moderate Republicans is already happening behind the scenes, even before Nancy Pelosi sends over the articles of impeachment, to be able to have them hold the line and vote with the Republican majority?
We've seen the White House making a lot of outreach to Senate Republicans in order to try to keep them on board, to get them in agreement on a set of rules for the Senate trial, assuming the articles are sent over to the other side of the Capitol. In recent weeks, we've seen the White House arrange lunches between Republican senators and the president. Just a couple weeks ago, the president hosted a vaping summit at the White House. It was sort of an extraordinary event where reporters were able to watch as different sides of the flavored vaping debate kind of battled it out in front of the president. The only senator there was Republican Mitt Romney of Utah, who had the opportunity to directly tell the president that he favored a ban on flavored vaping. That was kind of an extraordinary thing to see because Mitt Romney has been a little bit of a thorn in the side of the president. He occasionally will criticize the president when he thinks that Donald Trump has gone awry on his public rhetoric.
All right, there's a lot of hope, Jason, on the Democratic side that somehow there will be 4 Republicans materialize. Here's a former White House press secretary, Joe Lockhart.
The fact that none of these people have come out and backed the majority leader shows that this is still a live issue. It's not decided, and they are all waiting to see, you know, how this plays out over the next couple weeks.
Is it a live issue? That's the real question.
Well, we know how it played out in the House, Brett. They were not able to peel off Republicans. Even Republicans that were retiring, like James Sensenbrenner and Will Hurd, had nothing to lose. Democrats were unable to peel them off. Murkowski is not up for re-election. She is quirky. She does have an independent streak. We saw that in the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. We saw it in the Obamacare repeal vote. I do wish she would stop using Democratic talking points to make the argument that she's making. I mean, the fact of the matter here is that the House's job is done, and this idea that they should have any say in how the Senate conducts this trial just is not supported by what is written in black and white in the Constitution. And the idea that Mitch McConnell isn't going to be bipartisan enough or objective enough, that is not his job. I expect him to be as bipartisan as Nancy Pelosi was and as Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler were. The job of being objective lies with Chief Justice Roberts, who will be overseeing this Senate trial. Mitch McConnell is a Republican leader in the Senate, and I expect him to act like it.
All right, one more sound bite here about the trial process. Take a listen.
Papers have to be physically brought over to the Senate, and we can't go forward until until the Speaker does that.
Senator McConnell has come up with no good reason why the trial shouldn't have these witnesses or documents.
We're in a very good position. Ultimately, that decision is going to be made by Mitch McConnell, and he will make it. He has the right to do whatever he wants. He's the head of the Senate.
Charlie, I guess the no good reason that Chuck Schumer talks about there, McConnell has dealt with a couple of times, spoken publicly that it was the House's job to make the case. They are the prosecutors in this case, and that the Senate is the juror, and they're going to go from there. I mean, that's how he sets it out.
Yeah, no, this whole thing has been so extraordinary, and I think it has been pretty nakedly partisan from the beginning. The fact that they Nancy Pelosi herself said that she's been working on impeachment for 2.5 years, yet this phone call that has suddenly caused everybody to go into vapors only happened, 6 months ago from today. So it's really insane. But I have to say that the most astonishing, unfair, and brazenly disregarding of the Constitution move that has happened throughout the entire process is this notion that Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House, has some input or some role in the Senate's trying of the articles of impeachment. The Constitution, as Jason said, the Constitution is very clear about that. She has no role whatsoever, and so the idea that she's sticking her nose in it at this point and trying to gain leverage is truly astonishing, and it's not good for the Republic.